Welcome to today's webinar, Microsoft Power Automate Flow Introduction for End Users. First, we're going to start off with a little housekeeping. If you'll see the control panel at the bottom of your screen, please use the question and answer button to submit questions anytime during the presentation. We will have time at the end of the webinar for Greg to answer your questions. And to answer the question we always get asked first, yes, this will be made available to you, the presentation. We'll email it to the email you gave us during registration. So it is my pleasure today to introduce today's presenter, Greg Lutz. Greg has been a technical trainer and consultant for almost 20 years. Greg has extensive experience with many types of desktop and server software and equipment. He's considered an expert in SharePoint and Office 365 technologies. His patient demeanor combined with his passion for technology and practical knowledge enable him to deliver productive and engaging learning experiences for all in attendance. So Greg, it's all yours. Let's begin.
Excellent. All right. Let's just jump into it. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share out my screen. This way you can see absolutely everything that I'm doing. And hopefully it'll show up in a second. All right. As you can see, I've opened up a web browser and I've logged into my Office 365 portal. So just like normal, I log in through the web browser. And these are all the different apps that I've got access to. And it might be a little bit different than yours, but recently, Microsoft has changed the name of Power Automate. Well, the other way around. It used to be called Flow, and they changed it to Power Automate. So when you're looking through the list, eventually you will find Power Automate. And if you click on it, it takes you to the Power Automate homepage. You'll still see the word flow used in different places. And that's what they refer to the actual workflows as. They're referred to as flows. But as soon as you hit the homepage, there's all kinds of stuff here that helps you out. There's different feature templates, different ones to keep you on the go, improve productivity. Yeah, they got lots, trust me. You can take a quick video to see exactly what Power Automate's all about, and you can search for it. But in a nutshell, it's workflows. Pick up any magazine, and they're talking about working with data. They're talking about AI. They're talking about trying to automate things so that you're not spending time manually doing a lot of things. And there's a lot during the day that probably could be automated for you. And that's where this comes in. Traditionally, you'd have to turn to IT and be paired with a programmer. The programmer would create different routines, macros, buttons, whatever you needed. The only problem, that's kind of an expensive route. And you'd either have to be important or the task would have to be important. And not everybody wants to learn how to program. And that's where this comes in. This is a whole if this, then that kind of product. So what I mean by that is that you don't need any programming experience whatsoever. In fact, the templates make it easy so that you're not starting from scratch, although you could. When you first log into Power Automate, there's a menu that sits on the left-hand side. This is where I have the home, right, which is where all this stuff is. Then I have different action items. This is like a category. So if I wanted to take a look at a list of approvals or business workflows, well, they're easily found here, right? Then I have all my flows. These are all the different ones that I'm using right now. If you'd like to create one from scratch, you can. Although I'll be honest, there's so many templates. I haven't found a great need to create much from scratch. I've been able to find enough of the templates. Underneath the templates are connectors, And these would be connections to different services that you've paid for. In fact, the same thing is found here underneath data. The data section, it kind of fools you a little bit, because with the data section, there's a little bit more to this section. You're going to need to use Power Automate. You're also going to obviously have to have a database, and that database is going to have to be uploaded to the cloud. However, you also have another section for all the AI stuff. Like I said, pick up any magazine, and this is all over the front page. So there's a few caveats to this one, but yes, it is possible for you to build artificial intelligence into some of your flows. And if you're looking how to do some of this stuff, well, Microsoft has actually provided some unbelievable and amazing learning materials. All you got to do is click on it. That's it. And it takes you here. There's a ton of information that's here. You could spend quite a bit of time here. There's a lot of documentation, and you can kind of jump to different sections here, like the how-to section. Learn how to create actions and work with conditions and use a Visio model. Yeah, there's quite a bit to this. Anyways, I'll come back to the home page. So in a nutshell, that's basically what it is. As far as getting started, well, that's up to you. It depends on what exactly it is that you want to do with this. And there's lots. You can connect to different popular services. And some of these, they're not even Microsoft services. So that's the first thing that should strike you as unusual. There's a lot of stuff here that isn't Microsoft. In fact, there's 338 different services. They then have sectioned it off here into multi-step flows, approval requests, adding different conditions using on-prem data, and working securely. If I keep scrolling down, eventually it encourages me to start with a template. And there's lots, again, all in different categories. Featured ones that deal specifically with email, productivity ones, different ones that would get a notification, like today's weather. Data collection, this is a big one right now. Using forms to process email and SharePoint. Basically taking the information from a form and publishing it directly to SharePoint. And it's quite a bit for data collection, to be honest. And social media. There are so many different types of social media that's out there. If that's your job to stay on top of it, it's kind of hard to stay on top of it. So Microsoft Flow has provided different ways of being able to capture some of that information, like being able to save tweets about a topic to an Excel table, or taking RSS feeds and posting them to Twitter or to Yammer. All kinds of different things for social media. And if I keep going down, well, it talks about other ways of working with Power Automate. I never thought I would do so much from my phone. I always thought of it as a phone. And now it's incredible. The amazing things that you can do with your phone, and the fact that Power Automate is now available for all of your devices, not bad. So it doesn't matter which device that you're using, you'll be able to manage your flows, create flows, and edit existing ones. All right. Now for the flows. To create your first flow, there's a couple of different ways of doing it. If you want to start from scratch, well, there's a create button on the left-hand side. When I click on create, I can start from a blank flow and have it automated and triggered by a certain event. Or it could be manually triggered. Or maybe it's something that needs to be scheduled. Or is it part of a business process? So when a certain process takes place, you'll be able to launch that flow. Regardless of which one you choose, many of the next steps are very much just like this one. When I click on automated flow, it takes me to my next step. I give it a name. I then can choose what's the trigger. And there's a lot. There's quite a few. A lot of it deals with the Azure cloud, so that service. You got a bunch for OneDrive, for Outlook and Planner. If I choose Show More, well, I see even more. Some of this stuff you have to pay for. So not all of this is free. Some of these would be services that you, that you already pay for. And there's quite a few. If you're interested in one of them, when an email arrives, and there's a couple of different versions of this, that's what the I is, just on the far right-hand side. This tells you a little bit more about that particular condition. Anyways, I'm not going to create a blank one. I'll hit cancel, and I'll get out of here. I do want to show you how to create a couple of different flows. So normally you head back to home and you type in what you want. Like it says, you can type an app, a task, or even an industry. So if I click in here, and if I'm looking for things to do with, say, Microsoft Outlook, then I simply type in Outlook. And I find lots. If I'm looking to pair it up with another of Microsoft products, I could then type in something like Planner. And these are all templates. You got quite a few. There's a lot in there. So you could probably spend the better half of your day just searching. And once you search, the menu down here, it changes. There's all flows, there's featured, there's approval ones. These are ones that take buttons. Ones that use Visio. There's lots. And of course, you got that more button on the end too. The more button on the end literally shows me more. I'll click the same button and that'll just roll it away. All right, next. I've already searched for a couple of different flows ahead of time. This way you don't have to see me sitting there typing things in. And this is one of the ones that I wanted to show you. This is just a really, really basic one and a great one to just start with to see how it works. It's pretty straightforward stuff. This flow will connect to my notifications. That's the notifications keep going off. I have a little plus here, and it's called Create. All right. When I click onto it, it creates the flow. If I need to, I could switch accounts. Right? So if I had more than one account, that's one of the things that I could do. To get the product, most of the Microsoft plans come with Power Automate. So pretty much all you have to do is sign up for an Office 365 account, and Flow's, I believe, part of the majority of them. I think there's very few that don't have it. The plus ensures that I've connected properly to the notifications. And then I create flow. And that's it. You'll also notice that I've gone somewhere different on the website. I'm sitting in my flows. So these are my flows. And the one that I've got into is sending myself a reminder in 10 minutes. These are the details that I can edit, the connections that I can edit, the owners, and if it's to only run for, say, certain users, this is something else that I can change and edit. I got a question in the chat. It says I've created a app in PowerPoint to import rows in Excel to SharePoint list. However, it takes a long time. It doesn't import all the rows when it's completed. How can I speed up the flow? And how do I import all the rows? Yeah, if you're trying to troubleshoot anything, we can definitely talk afterwards. Because I've only got an hour, going through troubleshooting techniques, that would kind of eat into what we're trying to do here. But yeah, you're more than welcome to book some time with me, or approach me afterwards, and we can book some time and figure that out. That's my flow. I can share this. So if I've created this, I could share this with other people. I could even save it. Why would you save it? Well, because you can actually import flows too. I can delete it. I can run it. It's going to work anyways, but I could send somebody a copy of this. I could submit it as a template, and then I've got it as a company template that that we can use. I could export it. I could take a look at the analytics and see how often it gets used or how often I use it. I could turn it off before it goes off. And if anything happens to it, Flow automatically lets me know that it's broken. And then it proceeds to give me different tips on how to fix it. If I find that annoying, then, well, I can turn that off. What's the difference between share and copy? If I share this, then we're working from the same flow. So if I make any changes to this, it'll also change it on yours. If I send you a copy, you can modify this however you want, and it's not going to mess with my flow, which would be bad. That's it. All I have to do is run it. Tells me all about the flow. Lets me know that it's going to have to sign in. And that's it. All I got to do is click on continue and run the flow. So, in 10 minutes, I'll get a reminder. Next one. This is something that I actually use all the time. I'm a huge lover of Outlook. I use it for a lot of different things, and one of them is my tasks. I love my Outlook tasks. I love the to-dos. I actually love the to-do app. That's kind of cool if you haven't seen that yet. It's not just a to-do list. The to-do app is a lot more than that. So I kind of glossed over it myself. Don't make the same mistake I did. Take a look at to-dos. It's actually really good. Anyways, it's part of Outlook tasks. Yeah, I know. It's Outlook, right? But they've kind of split it. So now you've got Outlook tasks. Anyways, I have to sign into it. So I click the plus and it allows me to sign into it. Bugs me about, all this other stuff. I have to consent and accept. Once I sign in, it'll let me know that it's signed in properly. So when you're building these flows, what you're looking for is the check marks. You'll have a plus, and a lot of times it just means that you've got to sign into the service. And then once I hit the plus, I get the check mark. All I have to do is create a flow. So every time I create a task when an email is flagged, sorry, this is going to create a task every time an email is flagged. This is a built-in template. Is there any way to watch the mailbox for email with Excel attachments with specific text? If found with two SharePoint site, yeah, you could do something like that. You'd have to create it from scratch. I can't think of a flow that's that specific. Not off the top of my head, but yes, absolutely, absolutely. How would you set up a flow on a SharePoint list that is available to use by anyone that has access to a SharePoint site? Yeah, as I mentioned to Andrew, any technical questions as far as setup, consulting type questions, troubleshooting questions. If you want, you can get together with me afterwards. We can book some time together and kind of sort that out. And Outlook Tasks and Planner. Yes, they all do talk. Planner talks to your to-do list. So when you assign different things in Planner, it shows up in your to-do list. And what makes this better than working through Teams? It's automated. So this is automation, Whitney. It's not collaboration. What we're trying to do is figure out best ways to automate different things that we do so that we're not manually doing stuff all the time. And is there any way for Flow to track my team members, track list that I've assigned? Track team members, tasks list that I assigned. You can use Planner if you want. That's probably your best bet, is to use Planner. And yeah, if you could put all your questions in the Q&A, that would be greatly appreciated. So yeah, what this does is this is now going to create a task whenever I flag something in Outlook 365. So again, I'm not sure if you realize, but that is one of the applications that you have. Right? It's called tasks. Right, so that's it there. If you haven't seen it before. And that's supposed to sign in quickly. You get the idea. It's an online app. Once this signs in, I'll come back to it. Next one that I want to take a look at is push notifications. This would be if I'm expecting an email from a certain person, like my boss. This way, message comes in, right? Email comes in, and I want to be notified. This flow will connect to, I've got to connect it to my Office 365 account. So this is connecting it to Outlook. This is going to connect to my Office 365 account. And this also is going to connect to Office 365, but it's going to connect to the notifications app. Oh, interesting. That happens. I'm glad that it did. Yeah, sometimes the connections fail. Yeah, it's giving me a hard time. Come on. Why are you giving me a hard time? I'll refresh. Yep. Glad that happened. Stuff happens, right? And I'm actually really glad this happened because This has been my experience with Office 365. A lot of times, if I get an error message on the screen or something bad happens, then all I got to do is refresh, and that's it. And absolutely, yes, you could do this on a mobile phone so that they get the notification on the phone. And yes, as a reminder, please use the Q&A so people can see all your different questions and stuff. And that's it. See how straightforward the templates are. And there's tons and tons of different, there's thousands. There's tens of thousands of templates. It's incredible. And that's why I said, unless I'm doing something really specific, then I'm good. I've got a template that'll satisfy whatever it is that I want to do. So, not bad. I keep talking about Planner. Active Directory. Yeah. How do you know who my boss is? It'll know who my boss is with Active Directory. So you have to be using Active Directory, and it has to be kept up to date. So that means that IT actually has to start filling that stuff out properly and creating the OUs properly. And if that stuff's not done, then it has no idea who your boss is. And it also creates problems for teams. It creates problems for Planner. So yeah, you got to straighten all that stuff out first. All right. I keep talking about Planner, right? Planner is a neat little product. There it is there. All right. And it's for creating plans. And when you create a team, right? When you create a team, it creates a SharePoint site. When you create a team, it also creates a plan. And this is my Planner hub. So this is my dashboard. This is where I would see all the tasks that are assigned to me, right? So everybody would have access to this. Everybody would see the different things that have been assigned to them, and it all gets assigned here. All right. So this is Microsoft Planner. This is going to connect to Microsoft Teams. And I'm a huge user of Teams. One of my favorite kind of things to work with and use is definitely Microsoft Teams. I think it's kind of cool. If you haven't used it yet, you really are missing out. But anyways, Teams is how we communicate. It's how we talk to each other. It's how we plan. And with Planner, if I'm assigning different things to you or assigning different things to team members, what I may want to do is post a message to one of my Microsoft Teams that lets everybody know what's going on. Same thing again. All right. Oh, sorry, 1 second. I just realized it. I got a couple of questions I didn't see. Sorry. Yes, is this app created? Is this used for Can you use other things as well? No, you can use whatever you want for reminders. Can this product be used as a full-fledged RPA? Yeah, you could set it up. You'd want to set up your teams so that it makes it easy for people to share stuff. And can I share a person from another company? Yeah, just export it. Yeah, just export it, and then they can import it. Do you have printable training that I can have? You will have to talk to Brent or stuff like that. is this app used for a reminder? Can we use something else? Yes, you can use something else. Is it certified? Certified for what? And can you show us an example of how to do a business process flow and exporting process to Visio, working remotely? We don't have until the face-to-face whiteboard session with clients. I was thinking using Power Automate to develop some quick process flows in virtual environment. I can't just because we don't have enough time. I still have more stuff that I have to go through. So yeah, any consulting stuff, any of that stuff, you can talk to me later. We can talk about that. What's the difference between Planner and is there a develop? No, they're not similar. Planner is an end user thing. And the moment that you talk about Azure, we're talking about a completely different user. So no, not the same. For more robust workflows like data collection, manipulation, do you recommend using Power Automate or something like Azure Functions or Logical Ops? Again, two different users. Yeah. Power Automate is for end users. Sure. Yeah, I'll get these later. Yes, quite a few. All right. Yeah, we're running out of time. So this one is going to take messages and post them to Microsoft Teams when a new task is created in Planner. So again, all I have to do is just sign in, right? That connects me to Teams. If I have any issues at all I have to do is refresh, right? And this will connect me to my Planner. When I click on continue, this one, there's a little bit more involved with this one, all right? And that's because it wants to know some specific things, like which plan are you talking about? And I'll use my team's training plan. And which team do you want to post it into? So I can say, well, it's my team training plan or team training team. And then I can be very specific about which channel. Now, I've only got the one channel in this team, but if I click on general, right, that's where it's going to post. This is the message, all right? So it's going to put in the task name, the due date, and the created by. All right. These are steps. If I want, I can continue to add an additional step to this if I need, but this pretty much does what I need to do. Then we got a flow checker. All right. So this ensures whatever it is that I'm doing, right? This will ensure that it works, right? No errors, no warnings. I'm good. And as long as I'm good, I save it. If you do get any of these little information boxes, right, it's just like a learn more thing. That's all. All right. All I have to do is hit save. Once I hit save, that's it. I have a button to test it out if I want. And I can either perform the trigger action myself. I don't have any data from any previous runs, so I don't have that as an option. But if I did, then I could use that as a previous run data and use that as a test. So it'll take a second for it to actually run this. But yeah, right, there's my tasks. There's my Teams training. So if I add a task, and I'll just say that this is a test. I can set a due date. I can assign it to myself. And again, add additional tasks, all this other stuff. But that's it. Now that the task has been added, if I take a look at Microsoft Teams, and I'll just do the web app here. There's the notification here. When I come back to the flow, it lets me know I've done it correctly. No issues, no problems, all works. And I'll just go back to my flows here. This is another one for Planner. All right. With this one, this was kind of a recurring thing. So on a recurring basis, it's going to update the Planner task with different details that I give it. And if the task is not updated, then it's going to send an email. So again, I connect the Planner. And I connect as an Office 365 user. And all I got to do is click on continue. Once again, it takes me to an additional step where I can set intervals, the frequency. Right? I can even set it to a specific time zone or a specific starting time. Then have it update the task, right? Title of the plan. So there's my test, right? I could put in a title. Here, it lets me know about the dynamic content. I'll just move over so you can read the whole thing here. It always kind of moves like that. So it's letting me know that, hey, look, it is possible to create dynamic content for this so that the title is based on certain metadata or certain information that we can populate there. Whether it's in progress, not started, completed, right? And then I could base it on different conditions. And then I've got, right, what happens if yes, then send an email. If no, right, here, I can add an action. So if no, what do I want it to do? What would probably make sense would be some sort of a notification. And I could either do that through my mobile phone, or I can have it sent through email. So SMS, right, or email notification. It's having a hard time today for some reason. Anyways, you get the idea. Once it signs into notifications, then all I have to do is create a notification and specify what I want the notification to say. So if there is invalid data that is placed into the task, then I will be notified. All right, two more, and then I'll start taking some of your questions because I've noticed I got quite a few there. This one sends a meeting reminder to my team. So kind of a handy one. Again, I click onto that plus, and again, I connect the teams. I'll click on continue. I can edit when this recurrence actually runs. So if I don't want it to run, on a weekly basis, then I can change that. I have to specify the team ID. Right, so team training. And I have to specify which channel, which I only have the general channel. So this just sets up a nice little reminder to tell my team to go to the daily stand-up meeting. So this happens every week. Again, you hit your flow checker. This double checks, make sure that everything works. There's no way to test this one because it's not looking for a trigger. This is a timed interval, so there's no test on this one. All I have to do is save it. Once I save it, I have the test button, but it's more of a timed interval that you're wanting to watch. I'll get out of this one. This last one that I wanted to take a look at, I wanted to show you one of the ones that you pay for. So the ones that I've been showing you, there's no cost to it. It's all part of your subscription. This one's not. This one is Paylocity. So this would be a service, all right? And you have to pay for this one. Not only do you have to pay for the Paylocity, but there's a premium service for Flow. So my understanding is that there's a additional cost to that. All right. So here, obviously, you have to have a Paylocity account. So this time when I click the plus, it's going to redirect me to the Paylocity login. And this is where I would normally just log in with my client ID, my client secret, which is like a keyword kind of thing, key phrase, and then I log in. And again, I'll just close that because it's a little bit too much information. So all of my flows now sit here in flows. And yeah, sometimes it wants you to re-authenticate, right? So like this with this one wants me to fix it. It's because it realizes there's a problem, right? And I'm not going to fix it. I'm just going to delete it. All right. It constantly checks your flows. If there's anything wrong, you're notified right away. This is where I would import a flow that someone had exported for me, say like from another company or another business or something, and I want to be able to use that. These are team flows, so ones that is being used by your teams or being promoted by your teams. And then these are different business process flows that you might have created in, say, Dynamics, and you would be able to use those business process flows to create a flow from. And then these are different UI flows that you might have created from CDS subscriptions. All right. Now for the questions. Let me go back through the questions here. First question was, how do I get the product? And it's an Office 365 product, so you need to have Office 365. What's the difference between share and send a copy? As I said, when you share it, you're still in control of that flow. So any changes that you make to it, it's going to affect anybody else that you've shared it with. As far as sending copies, it's a copy, so then they can do whatever they want with it. Is there any way to watch your mailbox for email with Excel attachments? Yeah, any type of attachment, honestly, you can have it look for anything and put it literally wherever you want. A SharePoint library, OneDrive, wherever. Can we do this with built-in templates? Yeah, there's a million built-in templates. There's thousands. And I just keep coming across more and more that are just really super cool. Would Power Automate integrate with the Outlook tests? And it does. And so does Planner as well. And so does Teams. They all kind of talk now. Is this app used for reminders? There's lots of different things for reminders that you could use. Outlook's, it's got tasks. There's nothing wrong with the reminders and tasks. But this just helps to automate the whole thing so that you're not doing it, manually. And yeah, you can use this to automate a lot of really, really cool things in the organization. So it could be a full-fledged RPA. And with the ability to publish this to different teams, it helps to create that consistency that you're looking for. Can I share a flow with a person from another company? You got it. You export it. So if I had a flow that I worked hard on, and I did some really cool customization to it, and I want to be able to use that in another company, then all I have to do is export it, and I can package it up either just as a zip file or as a raw JSON file, which I think the whole JSON file is actually pretty darn cool. Never thought I'd see Microsoft do that, eh? Do you have a printable training that I could have? Yeah, you'd have to talk to Brent about that one. I'm not sure. Is this app used for reminders, or can we use other things? Yes, there's lots of other things you can use. Planner, you got tasks, you've also got to do. Outlook does some great reminders. The certification one, I'm not sure what you mean. Is it certified? Is like an ISO certification or a Microsoft certification? Yeah, so I'm not sure. Can you show us an example of how to do a business flow and exporting process to Visio? Yeah, all you really have to do is just type in Visio. There's quite a few in there. And if not, then you can do it from scratch. What? Well, that search works real well, doesn't it? So yeah, you got a couple of BPNN diagrams that you can modify and use, and that works fairly well. But the business process flows should be created in something like Visio, or created in something like of course it just left my mind. Dynamics, yeah. So either one, you can export the business process flow, but just make sure you use the BPMN diagram when you do it in Visio. Just the basic business process flow, it's like a cartoon version of a business process flow. What's the difference between Planner and Azure? Yeah, one's for developers, one's for end users. And that's your biggest thing. So if you're a developer, sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want. For robust workflows like data collection, manipulation, using Power Automate or something like Azure. Again, same thing. Power Automate is for end users. Azure, that's used for developers, right? So two completely different people. And if you're a developer, then you just do whatever you want. Where's the message posted team? It's posted in the chat in the posts. So this is in the general post area. So that's in posts. That's where that would show up. how do you contact me for consulting? There is a 1-800 number on our website. So you're more than welcome to call the 1-800 number, and they can get you started. Can we get any proof that we've attended the webinar? Screenshot?
Yeah. Hey, Greg, this is Brent. Yeah, so we send an email at the conclusion, and so within that there is the presentation, and just an email thanking you for joining the webinar. So that should suffice. If you need something else, reach out to us and we'll get you something.
Or do a screenshot of you asking the question. How do I get proof that we attended the webinar? Because that's proof that you stayed the entire time because it's time stamped.
Right.
Right? You could just show up and say, yeah, I'm here for 5 minutes. Is there a 250 when using the flow to post a SharePoint list? Yeah, and that's a bigger issue, the whole 255 character limit, because the SharePoint site's name is part of that character limit, and so is the name of the library, that whole path. And I'm with you, it's a real pain in the neck sometimes. So yeah, unfortunately, names are a bit of an issue. Webinar, but was wondering, we use Planner on my team for key initiatives and weekly status reports. Good idea. As a manager, I have a hard time getting all the updated weekly data, checklist notes out of Teams and into a format that we can use for reporting and dashboards. So an easy way to get updated data out into a usable method. The absolute best way to do it is to use another product, and that's Power BI. So with Power BI would allow you to connect to Planner, extract all that information, and put it into a usable format that you can use for reporting. And because it's a dashboard, you're knocking off, two birds with one stone kind of thing. Yes, you can do it. Take a look at Power BI. If you haven't taken a look at Power BI yet, go to YouTube, watch a couple videos, make sure you're sitting down because it's going to blow your mind. How does one receive a mobile notification? When you go through the different notifications, you'll have an opportunity to select whether it's email or SMS mobile phone. We have a lot of paper forms, hoping to move away from. Will be the best form tool for complex forms that require multiple authentications with conditions. Not Microsoft Forms, I can tell you that. You can take a look at a product called InfoPath. It's a Microsoft product. It's called InfoPath. Typical Microsoft. They don't tell you about these things. Some of their best stuff they keep hidden, but it's called InfoPath. The last known version was 2013. It still works with everything that Microsoft has, but you do have to be a bit of a programmer for the automated authorization, conditions, and all that stuff. So that's the only caveat to that. But it's a Microsoft product. It integrates extremely well with SharePoint and Flow and all the rest of it. Excuse me, they still make it. They still have it. It's free. So download it. Take a look. How can this integrate with Outlook? Man, how can it not? It just does. There's a whole thing with Outlook. Like, it's just, honestly, it's insane. Well, here, I'll just do email. It's insane. Right? Saving attachments to OneDrive. I actually use this one all the time. I think it's kind of cool. InfoPath going away. No. They're still going to keep it around. They've still got a use for it.
Sorry to interrupt you, Greg, real quick. So we had a question. The question that Greg was answering is InfoPath going away? And I would encourage everyone to please put your your questions in the Q&A because no one else can see your question. So
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, they've got a couple of products that they haven't made new versions of. OneNote is another one. There's OneNote 2016, but there's no 2019. And they are going to have a new version of OneNote come out again. It was just a weird thing. And InfoPath, I think they've kind of taken it as far as they can, and that's why they haven't developed another version of it. But yeah, if you haven't seen InfoPath for creating forms, it's neat. It's really neat. Is there a view or dashboard or audit trail to view all the active flows and previous flows you've participated in the past? Not really. Like you've got my flows, right? That shows me my flows, but not really any analytics here. If you're looking for the analytics, unfortunately, yeah. The only way to get the analytics for it is to have access to the administration panel for flows. I created a vacation approval which works great, except the team member is limited to 255 characters when I do this. I know there's nothing you can do. I'm sorry. Yeah, ARG is right. It's frustrating. Is there any connectors for Power Automate and InfoPath? No, there's no connectors because InfoPath is just like a GUI. It doesn't do anything. It's just data. And what you're doing with InfoPath is you're connecting that to a database. So either SQL, Excel, or believe it or not, a SharePoint list. And then from there, once it gets into the SharePoint list, then you could use Flow to automate the rest of that process. Does it integrate with a desktop client? No, it doesn't. Not really. I mean, anything that you do to your Outlook Online, it's going to do it to the desktop client as well. But specifically with the client, no, not at all. Is InfoPath different than Microsoft Forms? Yeah. Make sure you're sitting down, Andrew, when you open InfoPath. Forms is neat, but it's a real cookie cutter, real simple end user. Ask a question, here's the answer. Ask a question, here's the answer. InfoPath can get kind of complicated. Well, no, not kind of. InfoPath can get complicated, which is good. Sometimes that's what you want for a form. Or you can keep it simple. But I'll tell you this, when you make a form in InfoPath, compared to Microsoft Forms, it looks gorgeous. It looks gorgeous in InfoPath and can be opened simply by a web browser. They don't have to have like an InfoPath reader or anything like that. They don't even need a Microsoft account. So you can send them this incredible form that anybody can open it up, even on a BlackBerry, if they still have one. Yeah, a simple survey tool is what Forms is for. That's what it really is. When you sign into your account, I think it's just a security thing. You know, they get you to do multiple sign-ins now with Office 365. Can you use Power and PowerFlow to run a Python script? You could. You'd have to create a custom flow, but yeah, you can get it to run a Python script now. And federal employees, yeah, my wife is one. We have limitations on our agencies. Does that limit what we can use in forms and templates and available on the web? Yeah, I'm going to kind of lose it a little bit here, but a lot of companies that deploy Office 365, the IT department tries to play a much larger role than what they should. They should just make sure that they've installed it right and that the power is on and then walk away. Because the moment that you start playing with this stuff and shutting things down, you disable things in other products. You disable features, you disable buttons, you actually start breaking things. And that's been my experience. And what I've been spending a lot of my time on is fixing a lot of stuff that IT departments have done. And it's because they're not sure how to roll out Office 365. They think they can just kind of pick and choose what's going to get used. And unfortunately, that blows up in their face. So interesting. Disconnect to automate as Power Apps would for forms and solution. Sensitive, maybe phase that. Yeah, it even if InfoPath does get phased out, as long as I got a copy of it, it's still going to work. Kind of like SharePoint Designer. As long as I have a copy of it, it's still going to work. So if you can download, keep a copy of InfoPath, it'll work pretty much forever until Microsoft decides that they're no longer going to use ASPX as an extension. But the only problem is that even Power Automate is really, really limited with what you can do. But yeah, use what you have. Stick with what you got, and yeah, try and make it work.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. I know we've reached the end of our time here, and I know some people have got to drop. And I also want to be respectful of your time. So thank you so much. I hope everyone enjoyed today's webinar. If you'd like to learn more about this topic, I recommend checking out gkglobalknowledge.com. We've got lots of good resources for you there. And as an attendee of today's webinar, we'd like to make it easy for you to take the next step. So you can use these discount codes to receive 25% off your next Global Knowledge course. So it's Webinar 25 in the US and CA Webinar 25 in Canada. Those will be included in the email that we send, the follow-up email to this thing. So don't worry, you don't have to remember those. Be sure to continue to visit Global Knowledge website to access additional free resources like technical articles, white papers, and webinars. Greg, thank you again. This has been fantastic. Thank you everyone for all the questions. The engagement has been phenomenal for this. So we really appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and see you soon. Talk to you soon.